Investing 101, okay, in this class today. So a little bit of practical information to go along with history, okay? I like to do this because I know in a lot of the education you get at Bishop Carroll or in high school is not really focused on financial literacy, which is something I think is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, let me ask you this question. We talked about this earlier, right? So how many of you guys know who is the author of the Communist Manifesto? Yeah, Karl Marx. Almost everybody knows that, but we don't remember the author of Capitalism, Wealth of Nations, Laissez-faire, Adam Smith. Pretty good, though. John Smith was smart, though. He was that guy that Plymouth or Jamestown, 1607, said if you don't work, you don't eat. Okay? That was the first settlement in the New World, 1607. You don't work, you don't eat. Because they tried the communism thing to start with, and you had all these people, they're trying to survive, and you got people being lazy. It's like, no. We're all going to share the food. But if you don't work, you're not eating. Because that doesn't work. You know what I mean? All right, you guys do all the food. We'll sit over here and twiddle our thumbs. Thanks for the food. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the stock market. All right. So obviously you guys know we got a crash coming in 1929, October 29th, 1929. This is the big one. Okay. And how does that happen? Okay. So in order for us to understand how that could transpire, we got to understand how stocks work. Okay. So when you guys are watching ESPN, and the scores come across the bottom like that. What's that called? They call that the what? It goes across the screen. They call it the sports ticker. Okay? If you go to MSNBC or Fox Business News, okay, you'll see a stream of stock quotes coming across the bottom. It's called the ticker. Okay? Back in the day, they had what was a real ticker machine or a ticker tape machine. Looks like this, okay? And it would print the stock quotes of the day, okay? And at the end of the day, this paper, you wouldn't need it. They used to print these in the newspaper all the time. Now I can just pull up my phone and Google the stock I own and see what it's trading for today. Okay, it's real easy.
A lot of stock.
Yes. So, when they have a parade in New York City, they have what are called ticker tape parades. So you have all this wasted paper that's no longer needed. So they tear it up into confetti and throw it out the windows during a ticker tape parade. Charles Lindbergh, when he flew across the Atlantic, came back to New York and had the largest ticker tape parade in history. After World War II, when the soldiers came back through New York, they had a ticker tape parade. Okay? When the Yankees won the World Series, which they've done 27 times, they have a ticker tape parade. Okay? Not sure about the Mets. They've only won it once.
The Yankees haven't won in a while, so.
No, and, you know, they have the team possibly this year. We'll see. Obviously, I hope it's not the Yankees.
What's your team? Ew, White Sox? God.
They're in first place. Who do you like?
I don't watch baseball, but the Dodgers.
Get on the bandwagon.
No, it's Mookie Betts, baby.
Mookie Betts?
Yeah.
Heck of a player, man. He's a good dude, too.
Is he Christian? Is he Christian?
I think so.
Yeah.
He behaves like a Christian.
He's a good guy. I didn't know if that was.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I mean, some guys you like, some guys you don't.
No, but
Yes.
he would just act. That's something he would say if someone was a Christian.
Okay. All right. So let's start with something simple here, guys. Okay. Do any of you own any stock that you're aware of? Okay, like mom or dad got it, maybe grandma, grandma. So what, you've done some like day trading stuff?
No, I do that.
Okay, cool. So AT&T. Let's pick one like Boeing. Boeing used to be, have, facilities here. Now we have Spirit Aero Systems. Some of you might be familiar with. Some of you might have family
Hey,
at work.
girl.
But anyhow, what does Boeing make? Makes airplanes, right? All right, so let's say you want to buy some stock, okay? First of all, guys, there's two types of companies. You have privately owned companies and you have publicly owned companies. Koch Industries here in Wichita, the second largest privately owned company in the country. It's owned by one guy, Charles Koch. Okay, it used to be owned by the brothers, but one of the brothers died. Okay, and one of the other brothers they bought out a long time ago. Okay, they do a big business, but Charles owns 100% of the stock. He owns the company. Okay, publicly traded companies. Let's take Amazon for instance. Okay, Amazon is owned by who? Jeff Bezos. And what I mean by that is that Bezos controls 51% of the company's stock. That's called a controlling interest. So he sells stock to other people. They own part of the business, but he owns 51%. So he remains control of the company. Now, if he wants to give up that control, he can to a board of directors. The board of directors will run the company, hire a CEO, CFO, Chief Financial, Chief Executive Officer, to run that corporation for them. You don't have to do it anymore. You can retire. Now, and he may still own, 40% of the stock, but the board of directors runs it. So the job of the board of directors is to make the company profitable so that the shareholders make money. And when you buy Amazon or Boeing or AT&T, you own part of that company. Now, these companies issue millions of shares of stock. It's a publicly traded company. Any of us can buy that stock. Okay? Some stocks are more expensive than others. Any of you guys know what the most expensive stock in the world is right now? It's a stock called Berkshire Hathaway.
Oh, I invested in that my freshman year.
No, you didn't.
And the fake one.
And the fake one. Because
Yeah.
you need over $100,000 to buy one share of Berkshire Hathaway.
Real life. Stop laughing.
Yes.
You know what it is?
It's a conglomerate of a bunch of funds. Okay. Of a bunch of stocks managed by Warren Buffett himself. So because he has been one of the most successful people ever to navigate the stock market, investing with him tends to be a smart thing to do. Now, it's so expensive to get into. Most people will never even sniff it. Okay. But yeah, Apple's a very expensive stock. Amazon's gone up a lot. Okay. So let's look at Boeing. Okay. So I'm just going to do a little scenario here. Okay. So let's say you want to buy some Boeing stock. So Boeing is trading for $50 per share. Okay, so let's say you have $1,000 to invest. Okay, so with $1,000, how many shares of Boeing can I buy?
2. Wait.
20.
20.
Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, you got 20 shares. Okay, now let's say news breaks in the Wall Street Journal that Singapore Airlines has just ordered 40 Boeing 737 Maxes. Is Boeing going to be productive over the next couple of years fulfilling those orders?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge sale worth tens of millions of dollars. Okay, so that's good. So the next day, people are buying Boeing shares for now $55 a share. So if you could turn around and sell those shares for $55 each, that's 5 times 20. How much money did you make? You made $100. Now, did you have to get out of bed that morning to make that $100? Did you have to go to work? No, you put your money to work for you. Kind of nice. You know, you're sitting at home, know you're making money. Okay? That's if it's going up. But then a couple weeks later, there's a breaking news story that a Boeing 737 MAX crashes and everybody on board dies. And then 2 weeks later, there's an emergency landing of a Boeing 737 MAX. There's something wrong with the software in the autopilot. And then another one. And next thing you know, the FAA grounds all 737 MAXes in the United States, and airliners around the world refuse to fly these planes until they fix the software glitch. Uh-oh. Now, I'm going to call my broker as soon as I hear about this. I'm going to say, look, I need to sell my Boeing stock. I want to get out at $55 a share. All right? Anybody buying my stock at 55 right now? After the freaking plane crashes?
No, but then once they fix it, it's gonna go back up.
Are you going to buy for me at 55?
Depends on the person.
Okay. Well, you might, dummy. Okay. Are you going to?
Nope.
Listen. Okay. What about 50? No. Dang, man. So now, guys, on the floor of the stock exchange, but remember, Boeing has millions of shares out there. So a lot of people are trying to sell their Boeing stock on that day. You understand? So this guy on the floor is saying, I got 10,000 shares of Boeing. I'll sell it for 50. Anybody? 50. 48. 48. 45. And they can't sell it at 45. Okay. So your broker calls you, said, look, man, I can't sell your stock for even 45, let alone 55. And said, all right, go to 40. All right, so I got 40. Anybody? Are you going to jump on at 40? 39? Come on. Come on. 38? 30. Bam, got it. Sold. 10,000 shares. Okay, so they're in at 30. You just bought Boeing stock at 55. They just bought it for 30.
I know you're going to go down.
Bad news for Boeing, right? Nobody's going to be buying 737 MAXs. Not for a while, anyways. Yes. Okay.
And then it went back up.
Yes. But it took a couple of years. Okay. So if you were able to sell at 55, you made 100. Now you sold your 20 shares at $30 a share. You were at a total of 1,100. That's where you were at. Okay. Now you've dropped to $30 a share. You've lost $25 times 20. Or how much have you lost? What are you left with at 30? Your investment is now worth $600. So you went in with 1,000. Now you're out at 600. You lost 400 bucks. Guys, here's the moral of the story. A stock is only worth what somebody else is willing to pay you for it. If nobody's willing to buy that stock from you, what is it worth? It's not worth anything. Except the paper it's printed on. A lot of times you don't even get it says between 6 and 7. You follow me? This is how the stock market can crash. Because when everybody's trying to sell and nobody's buying, what happens to the value of all these companies? Their stock. It goes way down. You guys understand how that works?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this is why we tend not to put all our eggs in one basket. Now, you said you had some AT&T stock. Is that it? Just AT&T? Okay. Because if AT&T has a bad year, and that's the only stock you own, you have a bad year. You know what I mean? So there's something you can buy that helps diversify you. It's called diversification or portfolio. Okay? Now, there's something you can buy. It's called a fund that you can buy in a bunch of different stocks. What's that called? A mutual fund. okay? Oh crap, Peter. You're late. I know. I'm recording it. Okay. A mutual fund. So check this out. McDonald's, Coca-Cola, okay, AT&T, Walmart, General Electric, General Mills, Procter & Gamble, make cereals and all kinds of products. Let's throw Amazon, General Motors, what? Oh, Dave and Buster's. Okay, now check this out. So, now you need about $2,500 to get into a mutual fund. $2,500, okay? So my $2,500 is going to be spread out through all of these companies in one fund and more. I mean, we could add more. So say 7% here, 7% here, 7% here, 6% here, 6% here, 7% here,
Do you pick the
6% here. No, well, the fund manager does. You don't. Okay, so you get to choose what funds you invest in. You can look at what it owns before you buy it. Okay, and you can actually look at the guy that manages or the girl that manages the fund. This information is all public. And so you can see, look at this manager of this mutual fund and.
Said something came up.
Okay, good. So this, the manager has a track record. So you can see how long this person has been managing funds for 25 years. They have a great track record. It's all there. It's like reviews, like for a restaurant. You can look at who runs these funds. All right, then you're going to put my $2,500 here. All right, now if McDonald's has a bad year, okay, but Amazon has a good year, I balance out. You follow me? And so the goal here, guys, is that if you're in mutual funds, and there's a ton, thousands of different mutual funds, what the goal is here, this is 1934, this is 2016. This is the New York Stock Exchange over that time period, which has gone up about 12% return on your money over that time period. How do you guys have savings accounts? You got like a savings account? What kind of interest they paying you on that money that you're loaning them?
0.01.
Yeah. How's 6% sound instead of less than 1%? How's 12% sound? Okay. Now, a couple of things to pay attention to. Okay. Mutual funds can be bought in what are called IRAs. Okay, you can do this just to like for short term, but generally we invest for long term, for retirement. Follow me? Okay, so if we can gain, 6 to 8% on this over time, we're going to make money on this fund. This is going to grow. The value of this is going to grow every year. You understand? Okay. So this year you put in 2,500. Next year you put in 2,500. Next year you put in 2,500. And you started 22 doing that, guys. You guys put in $2,500 a year from the age of 22 to 62. You should have well over $1 million in retirement savings.
Say that again?
$2,500 a year from the age of 22 to 62. Okay, invested in the market. You should have over $1 million when you retire. Okay? Most Americans don't do this stuff. Okay, so pay attention, especially if this is foreign to your family. Okay? Because some families invest, some don't. Now, most people that have, pretty good jobs or jobs with benefits, get what's called a 401k. Okay? If you go to a job and they say, we offer a 401k, take it. What they're gonna say is that we want you to take 5 to 6% out of your check each month to go into this fund. Okay, so 5% may be $150 that comes out of your check. Your check's gonna be smaller. But what the company's gonna do is they're gonna match that up to 5 or 6%. So they're gonna add in what you add into the 401k. It's free money in addition to what you make. Do you understand? Now, you can't touch a 401k until you're 62. It's for retirement. Follow me? Now, you can take money out of there, but you're going to have to pay steep penalties for taking money out before you're 62. Yes.
What if you were to retire early from that company, leave the company?
It doesn't matter. The law says 62. Now, if you leave that company before you retire,
You take it out and put it in like a different 401k.
yes, you can roll it over into the new job you get into their 401k. Yeah. Yeah. Or you can leave it where it is. And they'll manage it. It'll still be under their control, but it's your money. Okay. Now, so listen. At Bishop Carroll, the diocese has a 401k for the teachers. Okay. And every year, I get to allocate. There's really 4 things I get to invest in. Large cap, small cap, international, and bonds. So the only decision I have to make with my 401k is what percentage of my money that goes in, 25% large cap, 25% small cap, 25%, and 25%. Okay, that's generally what I do. Now, sometimes I'll make 30% with one of them and 20%, mix them up a little bit. Large cap are these companies. These are large corporations, blue chip stocks. Okay, small caps are your smaller companies, new companies, startups. So there's higher risk, but there can be greater reward with that risk. So if one of these small companies becomes a big company and you buy into them early, you get a big return. You follow me? So it's a little more risk. We know, guys, pretty much, Coca-Cola is going to be fine. Okay, that's a solid stock. AT&T is going to be fine, right? It'll fluctuate some depending on the circumstances. Like if we look at another lockdown, which companies do good? Technology companies, Zoom, so forth. You look at that, okay? So you buy for that reason. We have an aging population. Maybe you want to invest in hospitals, or you want to invest in nursing homes, something like that, okay? So you do want to look at the future of business in this country is legalized gambling. You're betting on these companies doing well, okay? Now, this 401k is great. Now, let me just give you an indication. I'm like average, guys. I'm average. I make about what the average American makes as a teacher here with 22 years of experience, okay? My 401k here, after 23 years, is about 180,000 right now, okay? Now, what will it be in 10 years? I don't know. But hopefully it'll be, over 300, maybe 350,000. Okay, so that's not the only investing I'm doing for retirement. Do you understand? So that's part of what I'm doing for retirement. I'll have Social Security too. Okay, which if it's still around, okay, for you guys, you'll have that. But you don't want to live on Social Security only. You understand? This is why you start as soon as you get that good job, guys. You're 22. Go to college or whatever you're going to do your job training, get that good job, become a plumber, become an electrician. You start making that money. 22, start socking it away. Okay, and this is how you can do this. So mutual funds are something you can buy. But if you go to a financial advisor, and guys, they're on every street corner in Wichita called Edward Jones. You guys see these Edward Joneses around?
Yeah.
Okay, there's Charles Schwab, these different brokerage houses. Okay, so you go in there and say, hey, I want to invest some money for retirement. They say, okay, let's do some financial planning. Let's look at what you want to invest in. And the first thing they're going to tell you to invest in is a Roth IRA. Okay? This will probably be the first time you sink money into yourself, you'll do it in a Roth. This is an individual retirement account. Now, Roth is different than a traditional IRA. Okay? With Roth, you pay taxes on the money you earn, and then you put the money in. When you get this out at 62, it's tax free. You pay no taxes on the gains you made over the 40 years you were in your Roth IRA. Guys, you can put $6,500 a year right now into a Roth IRA. Okay? That's the max, I believe, today. Now, if you make too much money, they won't let you put money in a Roth IRA because you make too much money. And if that's a problem for you, well, good for you. You may not need the Roth IRA, okay? But it's for everybody else. It was a senator named Roth. He's like, man, we need the American people to save money for their future. And this really encourages people to do that because you're not going to pay any taxes on it. It's freaking great. Now, if you get a traditional IRA, okay, and let's say you get that at 62, when you withdraw money from that, you got to pay taxes on the gains that you made on it. Now, the capital gains tax today is 27%. Who knows what it'll be when you guys hit 62 or when I hit 62. So you want to do the Roth. That's going to be the first thing you fund. You do a 401k at your workplace, and then you do a Roth. You put $2,500 into a Roth every year. 22 on. Now you've got the $1 million from that. You got your 401k, and you got Social Security. Fine. Does that make sense? So now you're rolling in the dough, people, when you retire. You're like, I want to travel. Okay? I want to buy a ship, or not a ship. I want to buy a sailboat and sail the Caribbean. Yeah. They get a cut. So they have fees they charge you. Now, every brokerage is different, okay? Some of these funds that you like, mutual fund stuff, have fees. And then your broker's gonna, they don't get like a percentage of what you make. They just charge you fees for managing your money. They don't get a huge cut. I don't think it's based on the amount of money you have in, but maybe it is. My wife usually handles that. So we use a guy at Edward Jones, and we go twice a year to look at our stock portfolio. Okay, so my wife and I both have a Roth IRA. My wife and I have a traditional IRA that we do together. So we get money taken out of our checks every month that go into these investments. Okay, and so like my wife, you know, she's older than I am. She started working and making money sooner than I did too. And she's thinking at, you know, her mid-50s about retiring. Because she's done all this. Yeah.
So you could have Roth IRA and a traditional IRA.
Oh, yeah.
Why would you want both?
If you max out your Roth contribution, then you can do more in a traditional. Yeah. So like I try to max out my Roth every year, which is about $6,500. My wife makes too much money. She doesn't get to do a Roth anymore. But our brokers kind of found a back door to that. Some money over some forms we had to fill out. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, guys, it really does. I mean, do your research on this. Meet with a financial advisor, somebody you trust. I like the big firms like Edward Jones, Charles Schwab, these big brokerage houses, because the government really does regulate them. So you're not going to get caught up in some type of, shenanigans. I had this kid who played on my son's baseball team once. His dad was an investment advisor. He had his own company. And he stole like $1 million from his father-in-law. And he went to prison for 5 years. Okay. You get this one guy that manages your money. It's like, what's he really doing with my money? I know if it's with a big firm like that, they got to follow the law. You know what I mean? And so you got to kind of be careful. I don't know if any of you guys heard of Bernie Madoff. Heard that name? Yeah, he's in prison for life, but he was the investor, like the broker for like rich and famous people. Like, so there were some Hollywood celebrities that gave their money to Bernie Madoff so that he would make them money in the market. Okay, what he was doing was taking all these millions of dollars and living a lavish lifestyle, and then sending his clients fake, fraudulent numbers of how their stocks were growing, how their funds were growing. It was all fake. And then somebody found out about it. They're like, hey, I want to move my money. And he's like, what? And it just went down. And I mean, he frauded people out of hundreds of millions of dollars. There's a huge story in this country. It's greed to the worst end. Okay? Because people had their life savings wrapped up with this guy and it was gone. Okay? He spent it. Okay? Awful. Bad human being. Not very Christian. Okay. So does that give you a pretty good, just like some basics on investing? Okay. If you want to do the day trading stuff and, manage funds on your own, some people are good at it. Some people aren't. I don't trust myself. Okay. I wouldn't trust myself to do that. I was convinced that one time I told my guy, I said, I need to buy some gold. No, let's buy some gold. Like, really? Buy gold? So he bought me a mutual fund with a bunch of gold stocks, and what they were mining companies, like that mine gold and silver, precious metals, and so forth. And it went up a little bit, and then it went down. And it stayed down. And it finally came back up to where I bought it, and I sold it. Okay? Over about a 3-year span. I'd be watching this fund. Okay? So let me pull this up for you and kind of show you what's been going on with the market in recent years. It's been a good time. So guys, there's four major investment areas. Dow Jones Industrial Average. Okay. So you have the New York Stock Exchange. Okay. And this is the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Okay. So you take all these stocks. Okay. They're all priced at different things. Like Dave & Buster's might be selling for $20 a share. Okay. Amazon selling for $150 a share. So you add all the one share of each of the major stocks in the New York Stock Exchange, and right now it's at 34,000 something. Okay, check this out. Okay, I'm going to do the last 5 days. Okay, so this is the Dow Jones. It went up. Okay, it's down a little bit from 5 days ago. This is 1 year. Okay, it started at 28,000, and now it's at 34,000. Look at this. 24.9% return on your investment if you got in the market this year. When you buy a mutual fund or several mutual funds, you're kind of buying the market. Does that make sense? So you're spreading yourself out. If you're getting 25% return on your money, guys, that's freaking nuts. Check this out. The last 5 years, 93%. Are we due for a major correction here, ladies and gentlemen? Dude, it's like, man, holy crap. 34.8. They see COVID in here? COVID? Okay. It didn't take long for it to come back. And now if I go to the max, I can get 2008 in there, I think. Yeah. Okay. So this starts in what? 1981, September 11th. Okay. It was at 872. Okay. 9/11. Right? Right around there, right? It's at 9,800. No, we got to go back. So August 22, 10,250. Okay. Then 9/11 happens, and it goes down to about 7,800. So it dropped quite a bit after 9/11. Okay. Oh, well, they hit our financial markets and the World Trade Center, and it was an attack on us. And then we went to war, and yeah, it took us about 3 years to recover economically. At least the stock market did from 9/11. This is the housing crisis in 2008, 2009. Big drops. Okay. Donald Trump is elected, takes office January, actually 2017. Okay. So if we look at the last 5 years, okay, Trump comes in, he's elected in 2016, takes office January 20th, 2017, it was at 19.8. Trump left office 4 years later, which would be 2021, January of 2021. It was at 30,000. Okay. Biden comes in. Now we're at 34,000. Does it matter who's president? It kind of does, but it doesn't. Let me show you this. See this map? This shows you Democrat and Republican presidents. Okay? Okay? And if you look at the total between Republican and Democratic presidents from this, the stock market, I think it's 11%, went up 11% under Republican presidents and 11.1% under Democratic presidents. Okay, now economic policy does matter. The economy matters. Okay, the shareholders need to make money. Okay, and that's what all these are publicly traded companies. All of these have a board of directors except for Amazon. Jeff Bezos runs Amazon. Okay, Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg has a controlling 51% interest, controls the stock. You follow me? So he can still run that company. All right, but we can all play in the market. Okay, you just got to have something to start with. You got to have some money to start with. Okay, but it doesn't take a ton. Okay, and there's different apps now and stuff where you can do it on your own. You don't even need a broker. Okay. If you got an extra, couple $100 laying around that you're not using, you don't need in the next 6 months, you can probably open an account and start playing, right? Yeah. So you did the stock market game when you were in freshman? What class was that? Personal finance?
Mr. Cromer.
Did you do well?
No, I got last in the class.
Yeah.
Are you surprised? No.
You need to have somebody else manage your money.
Duh. I can't even manage my own.
A lot of people aren't good with that. I don't do it. I'm not gonna do it.
Maybe if I understood more things.
Yeah. I have my guesses, but I'm not gonna play. Yeah.
How does the company decide? Like you said, there's it could be millions of shares. How how does that work?
Like, how do you know how many
Who decides how many shares?
Okay, a lot of times, companies, are continually making payroll. Okay, so the most expensive part of owning a business is paying your employees. Okay, so a lot of companies, need cash. So when they need more cash, they'll issue more shares of stock. Does that make sense? And so when you buy that stock that's issued from the company, they get that cash and they reinvest it in their companies. You follow me?
But they can't just have stock.
So how do you determine?
Yeah, yeah, and so, I mean, I think there's some rules that the SEC puts down about the number of shares you can issue. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how that works.
Would a share like technically correlate to like a percentage?
Of the company, yes.
Don't the Fugates have, do they have a lot in stocks too?
They own restaurants, right?
Yeah, I just, well, he can.
How did the stock market get started?
Well, I think it was an idea to build capital, to gain capital. Okay, so like, if you're you've seen Shark Tank, right? Okay, so you go in front of the sharks and say, I'll give you a certain percentage of my business for this much money, right? That's exactly the same thing. Okay, I'm gonna offer this to the public. I'm gonna raise some cash with it. I'm gonna expand my operations. Okay, and you have a chance to own part of my company. Raises money. Okay. So when we get to this, okay, remember what I said. The stock's only worth what somebody else is willing to pay you for. So October, guys, tends to be a bad month on the stock market anyways. You go to October, 87 was a bad October, obviously 2029 here. But traditionally, it's kind of a rough month for the market. So nothing new there. But Black Thursday, the 24th, prices began to fall. Remember how I talked about how we had overproduction, wages didn't keep pace. So there was a downward spiral in production. That was the last slide we had yesterday. And so, I mean, there were signs that the economy was slowing down, but the market prices kept going up. And people realized they were overpriced. So people are like, all right, get out, get out. Get your profits. Lock in your profits. Okay? Well, when prices began to fall and panic set in, so people are trying to sell, but nobody's buying. About noon on the 24th, JP Morgan and about, 6 or 7 other large bankers in New York City pulled together their money and started buying up stock, $240 million worth. It's a lot of money back then. Okay? But really, it's not enough to prop up the whole system. But the market does rebound. Okay, so like you're trying to sell that Boeing stock, and I went from 50 to 45 to 40, and boom, they stepped in and bought my stock at 40 instead of it dropping to 30. You follow me? I'm like, yeah, I know I took some losses there, but at least I got most of my investment out. You know what I mean? I didn't lose everything. Hoover goes on the radio and tells people everything's okay, don't panic. What happens when you tell people not to panic? That'll happen on Tuesday. See you tomorrow, on Friday. Yep.